Hello and welcome to Homeowner Talk. My name is David Stone and I'm president of Nevada Association Services, and this is my co-host John Leach, who is a partner in the law firm of Leach, Johnson, Song & Gruco. Each episode we'll be here to talk with you about important homeowner topics. We, along with our guests, are here to provide you with useful information on these subjects.
We also want to encourage you to interact with us and our guests on each episode, so please visit our website at homeownertalktv.com and send us your questions and comments.
Now, on this show today, we're going to be talking about safety in our communities, including pedestrian safety, safety for cyclists, and even new laws and how they impact safety. First, we'd like to welcome Officer Chrissy Coon, a public information officer for the North Las Vegas Police Department, which has taken a very proactive role in promoting crosswalk safety. Officer Coon, thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Officer Coon, maybe you could just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, how you got involved with the Public Information Department at the Police Department.
Well, I've been on the North Las Vegas Police Department now for just about 10 years. The last 3 years I've spent as the Public Information Officer, with really the last year actually feeling like I even can begin to know what I'm doing.
What are some of the responsibilities that entails?
Well, a lot of that is just really getting out into the community and talking about safety, making sure I'm keeping the community informed, and that the information that we're getting out there is accurate.
Excellent.
Now, you have a project, the Crosswalk Safety Program. Can you just maybe a few minutes tell us about that and what it entails?
Well, we actually have two different components of that crosswalk safety. One is actually grant funded through the Office of Traffic Safety, which really focuses on driver and pedestrian education and enforcement. And what those are your pedestrian safety events where you see officers out on the street, a decoy's crossing in a crosswalk, and motorists are getting pulled over if they're failing to yield to that pedestrian in the crosswalk, and they're cited for that. Also during that enforcement, pedestrians who don't use those crosswalks are also cited. The other side of the enforcement and education aspect of our crosswalk safety program is actually where we're putting officers in elementary schools to teach children about crosswalk safety. What we're finding nowadays is that parents are a lot less likely to let their children walk to and from school, and so that's one of the components where kids really don't know what to do when they get to a crosswalk. They don't know what those traffic signals mean, and so we're putting officers in schools to really teach them what that means.
I think it might be kind of fun to put an application for the decoy part of it. That might be kind of a challenge. What do you think?
I was going to recommend you just go stand in front of the courthouse every morning between about 8:30 and 9, and all our funding will be taken care of.
Understood.
Anyway, what can some of our neighborhoods or communities do about, encouraging the public safety, especially you talked about kids?
Well, one of the biggest things we ask people to do is take responsibility for your own safety and the safety of your family, both in your car and as a pedestrian. If you promote safety within your own vehicle, your kids will grow up to also drive safer, become safer drivers, but then the people around you will be safer drivers. Instantly, it actually starts with that driver, and we ask people, put down the distractions, really talk to your kids about what being a safer driver is and, what being a safer pedestrian means.
Those cell phones, I know it's, now do not what I say, so be careful and make sure you're following those restrictions.
Right, and kids
Absolutely.
now seem to be reminding parents you're not supposed to talk on your cell phone now. So what are you doing to promote this with children? I mean, specifically, you're getting into schools or
the program that we actually get into schools and teach actually brings real traffic signals into the school. And officers are there to teach the kids what the stop hand means, when it's okay to walk, how many seconds you really need to cross the street. Some kids love that countdown, and so you see them go 5, 4, 3, 2, and they want to take off across the street. And so some of it is telling kids, wait for that next signal to come until it's safer for you to cross. We also want to teach them to listen, listen for screeching tires, listen for the whoosh of a car going by, things that would indicate that traffic is not stopping for them. Just because you're in a crosswalk doesn't necessarily mean it's safe to cross.
That's so true, because you might not be in the crosswalk yet. The vehicle's going 25, 30 miles an hour. You better be looking before you take that first step. And the cars can come pretty quickly.
Sure.
Are there any special safety programs that might also be available to homeowners associations? Many of our viewers live in common interest communities, and so is there any programs that those organizations might be able to implement to breed this safety that we're looking for?
Well, one of the biggest programs we promote is the Neighborhood Watch program, and there's a huge misconception out there that it's the big spy on the neighbor next door program, and it's really not. One of the things that we teach people is to get out and know the people in your community. It's not necessarily about, spying on the neighbor next door, but when everybody knows each other, they have an active interest in the community, in the safety in the community. And so what that means is they're going to be looking for your kids playing out in the middle of the street when they turn that corner, instead of they don't even know you and they don't even know if you have kids. So a lot of that is just really coming together as a community and promoting that safety within your community. One of the things we teach people in your Neighborhood Watch program is have officers come in and we talk to everybody about safety, how you can make those streets safer, and then also, just getting to know your neighbors and making it comfortable for them. Even if your kids are in the middle of the street and doing something maybe they shouldn't, get together with your neighbors and explain to them, if you see my kids out there doing this, feel comfortable enough to talk to me, and then vice versa, please, take care to my kids playing in the street.
It's a lost art these days. I know when I was a kid, all the neighbors knew me because I was always in trouble. But today it seems like people don't even know who lives next door, so they don't know if there's somebody that's not supposed to be there because they don't know who is supposed to be there. And so that's a real good piece of information for these communities.
When I go into my neighborhood where I live, I often see signs that says, kids playing, slow down, or whatever it is. I'm convinced that for some people that means actually to speed up, because I'm amazed at the speed some people go through my neighborhood. Are those effective? I mean, is there any other suggestions? You live in a neighborhood. Do those signs work? Anything else you can recommend to families that are trying to slow everyone down other than 3-foot speed bumps?
When law enforcement gets involved, we come out and say, don't let your kids play in the street. It's just a dangerous act altogether. But we understand that there are communities that get together and create an environment for kids to play in the street. And I know even in my own community, there's a specific cul-de-sac where they put those signs out and the kids are, play out there for 3-4 hours between certain hours, and they put the signs away and the kids are in. The problem becomes is if the community doesn't have buy-in to that, if your neighbors don't buy into those signs, they mean nothing. Sure. So you really have to get to know your neighbors and have that mutual agreement with them that when those signs are out, your kids are out there and they're agreeing to take care when they see those signs. And if not, it's not doing anybody any good. The other thing to really, take note to is if there's a large portion of the public that might have access to your street and those people aren't looking for those signs, that's another reason that they could be very ineffective.
So they're unfamiliar with the neighborhood or what to expect. Are there any other things other than signs? I know David alluded to the bumps or humps that you sometimes see on the streets. Is there any data or any experience that North Las Vegas has? Are they useful, helpful? Anything like that slows the traffic down or not?
Honestly, the biggest thing that will slow people down is common courtesy. I mean, just people really having an active care for the people in their community, because what we find is, much like you said, if there's that adversarial relationship with your neighbor and you put those signs out, they're just going to speed up. Or you really have people that completely disregard those signs altogether. Or there's always the people that you need to watch out for who might be inebriated or under the influence of something that won't pay any attention to those signs either.
And that opens up a whole other can of worms, drunk people and so forth. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining us and sharing with us such great information. When we come back, Ron Floth, Bicycle and Outreach Coordinator for the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada, also known as the RTC, will share some very important information that impacts cyclists in Nevada and motorists as well. We'll be right back.
Don't press your luck. Steer clear of floodwater.
Come on, guys. You know better than that.
Just had to check that text, didn't you? Bet you didn't even notice you were driving into a school zone where a kid could step right in front of your car at any moment.
And you. The crosswalk's only a few yards that way. You didn't even look to see if any cars were coming.
And of course, Chatty Chatterson over there was a big help, waving you out into traffic. Way to go, Mom.
And now here we are on the brink of disaster, all because nobody bothered to pay attention. Wow, that was a very close call. Too bad I'm not real.
Welcome back to Homeowner Talk. We're now joined by Ron Floth of the RTC, which is the Transit Authority, Transportation Planning Agency and Regional Traffic Management Agency for Southern Nevada. Ron is Bicycle and Outreach Coordinator. Ron, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about your background, and maybe you ought to even tell our viewers how you got here today.
Well, my name's Ron, and I work for the RTC, and I'm Bicycle Outreach Coordinator, and I got here today by e-bike. I rode my bike over from the RTC's center over off of Grand Central Parkway. It was a nice, easy ride. Got me here effortlessly and safely, and glad to talk to you guys today.
We're glad to have you here.
So how did you get involved with this? What's your background? Were you always a bicyclist? Was this sort of a natural extension?
You know,
of your hobby?
I've been riding bikes since I was a kid, and I went to work for the RTC, actually for the Club Ride program, promoting cycling and carpooling and taking transit to work. And I went over to the planning department, and now I'm focusing on cycling because it's one of my passions.
Well, I understand that Nevada has adopted a law, but I guess we're going to call it the 3-foot law, and in that to allow cyclists greater protection. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit, tell our viewers a little bit about the law and what it means?
Absolutely. It was passed in October of 11, and it's called the 3-foot law. It's been adopted by 21 other states, including Nevada. So the law states that basically drivers need to give at least 3 feet of leeway when they're overtaking a cyclist on the road. If there's one lane that's open to the left of the cyclist, the motorist should take that lane. If there isn't that lane, then they're just supposed to give the 3 feet of leeway as they pass and continue that 3 feet of leeway until they're safely past the cyclist.
Every once in a while I see on the road those bicycle path lanes or something like that. That has nothing to do with the 3
No, that doesn't.
Law. That's independent of that.
Correct, exactly. The 3-foot law is basically, it's there to offer a better buffer protection for cyclists that are riding. Obviously, if they're in a bike lane, and they're near there, it's like, the motorists definitely need to give 3 feet of leeway when they're overtaking a cyclist.
And so it's more the motorist, the driver, that needs to be cognizant of that law and make sure they're giving the courtesy to the bicyclist.
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent.
And I know, bicyclists must have welcomed that with great enthusiasm, because I've seen, just driving around, you see how people are sort of, very disrespectful to bicyclists.
Well, especially in our climate where you can ride bikes almost all the time. So,
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's
There's a lot of
fantastic.
cyclists on the road.
Go ahead.
Perhaps you can just share some of the, safety tips, basic safety tips that maybe we all sometimes forget when we're out bicycling around town. Some things to sort of help us out.
Absolutely. I like to do something called the ABC checklist. Okay.
Now, you don't want me to get on the bike for this
Not right now. No,
explanation.
you'll be
Okay,
fine
good.
for this explanation.
All right,
No.
just checking.
The A stands for air. So you always want to check the air in your tires, make sure there's plenty of air in the tires. Okay. B stands for brakes. You always want to make sure that your brakes are working so you can stop if you need to.
That's helpful.
In quick fashion. C stands for chain, cassette, or cranks. Just want to take a quick inspection of your drivetrain to make sure that your chain and everything looks good. And the quick check basically is taking just a quick short trip around after you've checked and made sure everything is tight and looks good. Just take a quick short trip maybe around your driveway in your street before you make your way on a longer trip to make sure everything's working correctly.
So those tips basically focus on the equipment, the bike, how it's operating.
Exactly.
Are there also other tips just for the cyclist that you recommend, or the classes or programs for them as well to understand, yeah, your bike's in good shape, we need you to be in good shape?
Exactly. Well, always wear a helmet. Okay, it's not a law in Nevada, but everyone should wear a helmet and encourage their children to always wear helmets when they're riding. Should always wear bright colors because you want to be seen. Basically, you need to show drivers out on the road your intent. So it's good to use hand signals. If you're going to make a right turn, you want to use a hand signal, left turn hand signal, stop signals. Follow the rules of the road. So cyclists should always obey the same rules of the roads that cars obey. That's very important.
And I know you're expanding the promotion of cycling and some of the alternatives for our community. Maybe you can tell our viewers a little bit about that. I know you provided with some video footage of some bicycle safety ideas.
Yeah, exactly. There's some video footage of us actually rolling out the e-bike program to the city of Las Vegas. In June, we rolled out 5 e-bikes to the city of Las Vegas, and they're using them to get around. So these are the e-bikes that we rolled out to the city.
And this is the bike that you actually used today to come to the program, is that
It
right?
is. This is the bike that I rode over today and the bike that I'll ride back on also. Yeah. So basically what we're doing is over the past few years, the RTC has rolled out bike lanes, routes, and paths. So right now we have 65 miles of routes, 280 miles of lanes, and 65 miles of shared use paths that we've rolled out, we've dedicated out in the city. So we're working with other jurisdictions, local jurisdictions, to try to bridge the gaps between those lanes and routes and paths. So, and in the future, we're looking to add another 115 miles of routes and another 65 miles of lanes.
Now, Ron, I saw in the video there was something called the Bike Center, and it looked like, can you explain that a little bit?
Exactly. In the video, the Bike Center is in the background of the video. The Bike Center is part of the Bonneville Transit Center. It's one of the only bike centers in town that's open 6 days a week, 7 to 7, so 12 hours a day. It's a full-service bike shop. You can bring your bike there to get it repaired during the day. You can become a member of the Bike Center. There are showers and lockers and a bike valet. $60 a year lets you become a member. That includes the use of the showers, lockers, unlimited bike tunes for the whole year. There's also clinics that are put on at the Bike Center. So we have clinics on Wednesdays and Saturdays. The clinics include safety training for children, shows you how to work on your bike, drivetrain maintenance, brake maintenance, things like that.
Sounds like a lot of these programs would be good for parents to bring with their kids, to do it together rather than just I've got some friends that are avid bikers, and they'll get up in the morning and they'll go off on long runnings, but it sounds like this would be great for a father to take his kids and spend some time with the kids learning the safety too.
That's exactly
now you offer some free safety clinics for their bikes. Where would someone go to find information about that, and what part of town?
Okay.
Any information on that?
The clinics are actually put on at the Bonneville Transit Center Bike Center.
There. Okay.
So they're there in the courtyard, or the outside clinics are in the courtyard. The inside working clinics are inside the actual bike center themselves, and you can go to rtcsnv.com to find out the whole clinic schedule that we have and everything about the bike center.
It's growing. I remember, a while ago you wouldn't see a lot of bicyclists 10 years ago, but I've noticed that over the years, over the last decade or so, the number of bicyclists have definitely increased.
And you think with the economy the way it is and trying to save, here's a great opportunity not only to save, but to get the exercise and enjoy what we have here to offer in our space.
Exactly.
Any other tidbits or last pieces of information you might give to our viewers about the importance of maybe knowing about the bicycle programs and also the safety?
Well, every fall, the RTC puts on the Viva Bike Vegas Grand Fondo, which is a charity event. It's a century ride. It's put on. Yeah, this is the jersey that I'm wearing now. Great event. It's very well attended by people from all over the country and even the world. And this is in the fall, and we try to change up the route every year. It's a lot of fun. There's a 100-mile ride, a 60-mile ride, and a 35-mile ride.
Well, that's fantastic. Ron, thank you very much. It was great information. We certainly appreciate it. We will feature links on our resource page of our website, homeownertalktv.com, to get more information on what Ron was talking about, including bike maps and safety programs that had been mentioned. We're going to take a quick break right now, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Mindy Martinez of Western Risk Insurance. Now that we've learned about crosswalk safety and new bike laws and so forth, we will talk to Mindy about some new laws for motorists and how this impacts insurance. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Waves of foreclosures have slammed Las Vegas, the epicenter of the foreclosure crisis. The maze of paperwork and red tape can be daunting. Who do you turn to? Where do you start? StopNVForeclosures.org is a secure, city-sponsored website that will connect you to free, HUD-approved housing counseling. There's help out there, and we can help you find it. Visit StopNVForeclosures.org or call 229-HOME for more information.
So what's new?
It's the flashing yellow arrow.
Tell me more.
Say you're going to make a left turn. On the green arrow, you turn left. A yellow arrow means the signal is going to change to red. A red arrow means you stop. Next, you'll see a flashing yellow arrow. The flashing yellow arrow means you must yield to oncoming traffic and pedestrians. Any other questions?
I got what I need.
The new flashing yellow arrow signal will be installed gradually throughout the valley. For more information, visit rtcsnv.com.
Welcome back to Homeowner Talk. We're joined by Mindy Martinez, an agent for Western Risk Insurance. Mindy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Please tell our viewers just a little bit about your background and how you got involved with Western Risk.
Well, I've been with Western Risk for 5 years. I've been in the insurance industry for 7 total, and I've always been involved with homeowners associations.
Great. We're sure glad to have you with us today. We know that in addition to offering commercial type of insurance, Western Risk also has what they call a personal lines division. Could you tell our viewers a little bit about that, about the texting and the cell phone things? Because all these are new laws that went into effect, I think, was it January 1? Just recently.
Yeah, just recently.
So maybe you can tell our viewers a little bit about that.
Correct. Well, you will see all of the police force enforcing the laws currently on the streets, and the insurance companies are looking at the first offense, not, it is a a warning in a sense, and then the second thereafter, they will be getting demerit points, which will be calculated at the renewal of their personal and commercial auto policies. So that could definitely increase their rates.
So the number of demerits will cause your rates to go up, or do the demerits stay on your record for a period of time, or do they go away, or how does that work?
Correct. Approximately 3 years.
About 3 years.
So the police, the enforcement, they're taking this new law very seriously. It is clear that the insurance companies are taking this as seriously as well.
Correct.
If they're being that hard-lined on it.
So it sounds like we've had a lot of accidents with this, and that's probably why they're taking the stance they do.
Right.
What do communities and homeowners need to know about the liability now? Is it just pretty much what we've been talking about? Tell us about the liability issues.
Correct. Well, liability in homeowners associations, the most important thing to remember is if you don't have insurance, you are self-insured. Most commonly, a claim that we see happen over and over again is a homeowners association where the individual unit owner doesn't have their own insurance and they don't have coverage for their personal property or relocation in the event of a fire. So we always want to make sure people know that you're always covered on the master policy.
Yeah, we see the same thing with water intrusion, an HO6 policy or something to cover the content of the unit, just to make sure that your personal property is protected.
Yeah, and people that reside, especially in condominiums where they're all attached, that seems to be an ongoing issue where they just simply forget that, the association's insurance is not enough to cover all of your personal items. It's not intended to cover your personal items. So.
It's not. There's the structure usually. So, do you have any advice that you might want to share with our viewers about deductibles as they relate to insurance rates, and how that is important for them to understand?
The deductibles on a homeowners association, it's common to have the higher deductibles to reduce claims, because claims are evaluated on severity and frequency. So the less that you have claims, and you can help reduce the insurance rates.
It's always a question, because I know when we renew our insurance, I have to make a determination on the deductibles, and that can be a very significant indicator or consideration, rather, when renewing your insurance, and associations are no different with respect to that.
Well, I guess associations still are supposed to make the claim to notify the insurance company of the potential loss, and then if it's under the deductible amount, does that hurt the association that they've notified the insurance company? They then have to take care of it themselves anyway. So does it hurt the association if they notify the insurance company even if the claim is under the deductible amount?
Well, if you have a claim that's per se $500, let's say that's something that you can just fix and your deductible is $5,000, you wouldn't want to contact your insurance company. If it's close or something, then you would have the claims adjuster make the determination if it is going to be over, because some damage is not seen by the eye.
Right. So
now, with the economy the way it is right now, associations are paying extra attention, or at least they should be, to try to keeping their premiums, their rates to a minimum. Any recommendations that you have to associations to try to keep their rates as low as possible? Do you ever offer to come out to new client or a potentially new client and walk the property and make suggestions on how they can try to reduce or mitigate, insurance costs?
Definitely. We always like to walk properties when we take new properties on, and once a new policy is written with an insurance company, they do an inspection and they do what's called recommendations, and they'll walk through and suggest things that might reduce risk. So one thing that's very common is uneven surfaces, so trip and falls claims, which can cost the associations a lot of money. Always being proactive in reducing the risk is a good idea.
Mindy, we appreciate you very much taking the time with us and sharing some insights on the insurance, the whole risk management stuff, and helping our viewers understand the liabilities. So we appreciate your insight and sharing that with us today.
Thank you so much.
When we stay with us, we'll come right back and try to answer one of the questions that have been sent to us through the website. Thank you.
What gets you moving?
Because when you get moving an hour a day,
you fuel your body
and your mind. Get up and play an hour a day, Doc.
Check out how to be a player at letsmove.gov.
RBIs and 36 homers. Swings at the first pitch and fouls it deep back into the stands.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Up to 40% of businesses never recover after experiencing a major disaster. Make a plan at ready.gov/business.
Welcome back to Homeowner Talk. John, we spoke quite a bit about safety issues. We have a related question from Lucille, who wrote the following question, and it'll appear right here. I have a neighbor who is constantly speeding throughout the neighborhood. Sorry about that. I'll just apologize in advance for speeding through. There are many seniors and children who live here, and I worry about the danger that poses. John, what should she do about that besides put tacks in the street?
Do not run into the traffic and stop them.
That's not a way to do it.
No. Obviously, the first issue is jurisdiction. We had Officer Coon here from the City of North Las Vegas Police Department, and if it's a public street, then it's the Metro or Police Department that needs to be notified. And if they are advised that there are hot spots in the town where there are safety issues, most of the time they will dispatch officers to survey and see what's going on, and they'll try to stop that the speeding. The issue then becomes, though, what if it's on private property? What if it's within a common interest community? Then the jurisdiction falls usually to the homeowners association. And yes, most associations that are gated will have some type of rules, speed limits, and other moving violation type of rules and regulations. The hard part is obviously speeding is trying to verify that you're speeding, so you need to have equipment that's properly calibrated and properly used, and the people that are using it know how to use it.
So radar guns?
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah,
one of my favorite things. Yes. So make sure that they're, and they are, as long as they're properly used and by a person who's been trained on it and they're properly calibrated, then they're meaningful. And please understand that moving violations, speeding through communities, is the type of conduct that could pose an immediate threat to the residents and owners, threat to the health, safety, welfare, and therefore the statute allows you to actually impose fines in excess of $100 per violation. So if it's really excessive behavior and the speeds are really high, then the association does have the authority to enforce it. So either notify Metro if it's public, if it's private, please write out the information, notify the community management company, and see if they can help you out.
But if it's a guest, an invitee, a pizza delivery guy, sometimes that's a bit challenging, isn't it?
Here we go.
Who do you find? You going to send a bill to the pizza joint down the end of the street for the $100?
I have found that most of them are pretty responsive. You let them know that their employees are violating the law. They want to keep good relations. They're usually pretty good about it.
It's usually the people that live there that are the worst violators.
Absolutely right.
Thanks, John. We would like to thank our guest today, Officer Chrissy Coon of the City of North Las Vegas Police Department, Ron Floth of the RTC, and Mindy Martinez of Western Risk Insurance.
And that's all for this edition of Homeowner Talk. We'd like to thank all of our partners on this show: Alliance Association Financial Services, Classic Landscapes LLC, HOA Management, GetDocsNow.com, Western Risk Insurance, and Nevada Association Services, Inc. Remember, you can always find information about this program, and you can also drop us a line at homeownertalktv.com, just like Lucille did. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time right here on Homeowner Talk.